If you've ever been to a Pilates class and the teacher has said, connect your center or find your powerhouse or work with your powerhouse. This is Darla, everyone. And your teacher has said, find your powerhouse or use your powerhouse or connect to your center. You probably wonder what she meant by that. If you've been to a Pilates class and the teacher has said, I need you to connect to your powerhouse or find your center or use your powerhouse, you've probably been like, what are they talking about? What's my powerhouse? Combined with so many people think that Pilates is an ab workout, it can be really confusing. So I want to demystify what that is in this video. So let's get to it.
Welcome to OnlinePilatesClasses.com, the most supportive Pilates-loving community across the globe. Enjoy new weekly classes from our amazing teachers. Download the OnlinePilatesClasses.com app today.
Hi, I'm Lesley Logan, co-founder of OnlinePilatesClasses.com, and I've been doing Pilates since 2005 while teaching 2008. I remember in my first Pilates class hearing this powerhouse word, and it sounded like exciting, like, oh, my powerhouse. And then years later, when I became a teacher, I discovered that I was doing it all wrong. I had been bearing down, bracing, making sure my abs were on fire all the time. And so I want to discuss what teachers mean when they talk about connecting or finding or using your powerhouse, and also really how in Classical Pilates, we like to talk about it as our center. In fact, that's what Jay Grimes, who say with Joe Pilates, would talk about. He would talk about working from your center. And that comes from one of the first cues that Joe Pilates ever gave him. He said he'd been doing Pilates for a while at Joe's studio, and the first correction he got was use your gut. And so what is the center? How do we work with it? What are the ways that you could be doing it wrong? All of that we're gonna discuss in this video. So what does finding your center or your powerhouse actually mean? And like I said, I'm going to continue using the word center because that's what I use when I teach from here on out. So what does that actually mean? Well, it doesn't mean bracing. It doesn't mean bearing down. It is actually a bit more subtle than that. And that's the hardest part. And we'll get into that later in this video, but it is more subtle. When you are fully connected to your center, it is this like inside support system that allows you to practice Pilates. There was this anatomy professor who created this sentence. She said this first sentence, and it was like the most beautiful way to discuss what Pilates is. So when you connect to your center, all the muscles around your axial skeleton are connected. So your axial skeleton is tailbone to the crown of your head, right? So all the muscles that support the axial skeleton, when they're connected, that's you connected to your center. And then you try to keep it as you move your appendicular skeleton, meaning your arms and your legs around. So when we're finding our center, what does it actually mean? It means finding the muscles that support your axial skeleton, support your spine, so that you can do the moves that we're here to do in Pilates. If you like nerding out about Pilates in general like this, because this is a very much nerdy video, then I want you to check out our 6 principles of Pilates video. It's going to talk about the 6 different principles that are in Pilates and also the 7th one that I think is missing. Where is your center actually located? So again, many people think that when we're talking about your center, we're talking about the muscles of your abdominals, right? But we're actually talking about way more than that. Your center is, yes, your abs, and you have your rectus abdominals, you've got your transverse, you even got your obliques, right? But we're also talking about the muscles around your back. So you have a ton of muscles that run along your spine. We're talking about the muscles around your hips too, because we want the sacrum and the pelvis to work with what we are doing in our practice. We actually want to create length in our space between our hips and our ribs, right? So we want the muscles around our hips to actually engage, not just so we have a stable pelvis, because sometimes the pelvis has to move, but they have to be connected to do both of those things. And also the muscles around your shoulder girdle, really important part of your center. So when you're truly connected to your center, right, exercises that are more complicated in choreography are more possible to do. And you'll actually feel like the entire body is doing an exercise, not just your core or not just the muscles of your shoulders. It should feel like the whole body is participating in this. And so when we actually truly do find our center, like your teachers are asking, or move from your center like they're asking, it does mean connecting to the whole body, which is not easy, especially if you're a beginner. So if you are new to Pilates and you're hearing this cue, that is a big ask. And so I want you to commend you for trying and researching it, and know that it does take time. You might actually have more ease connecting to parts of your center and less ease connecting to other parts. And that's why Joe created 500 exercises, so that we could use different exercises to strengthen all parts of our center. So why does find your center, or use your center, or use your powerhouse feel so confusing? Well, first of all, it's kind of hard to find. It's not something you can go turn the button on, powerhouse, engaged. Like, in fact, that's actually not what we want. You know, a lot of people, I see them bear down or hold their breath. And if that is what you have to do to find or connect to your center, the issue with that is now we cannot move your body, right? Because everything is tense and you're not breathing. And so in Pilates, we know how important the breath is. We want to breathe in and out through every movement. But if we are tensed up, then we actually cannot move the limbs. We can't move the appendicular skeleton. We cannot find the different spine shapes. And we have 5 of them we have to make in this Pilates practice. And so we need the center to be something that we can tap into and work with in all 5 spine shapes, upside down, standing up, sitting down, while we move. And so it just takes time. It's very subtle when you're new to it. You might not even realize you've connected to it. And then as you continue on your practice to get more advanced, you'll actually start to realize how easy it is to work with. And you'll also notice when you're not connected to it. And that is amazing. That is what makes an advanced Pilates practice, knowing like, ooh, I lost my center in that one. Or, ooh, I'm feeling this in my lower back. In fact, if you are feeling things in your lower back or burning things in your shoulders or feeling things in your wrist or in the back of your knees, that is a sign that you are not moving from your center. If you want to dive deeper into why cues can feel so confusing, we actually did a great video about did Joe Pilates cue? Did he have cues? We'll find out in this video. So how do you actually understand your center, right? How do we understand it? Well, the reason why I say it's confusing to find it is that it's not something you find, it is something that you build, right? The exercises that we do in Pilates over time are going to build up the connections you need to work with your center in every exercise. It's why certain exercises are considered beginner. They're a little more easier to do, but that doesn't mean that they're easy to do. They're easier for a beginner to do without the support of their center. But the more advanced exercises are harder to do because you have to have those. You'll find it through a few different ways. One, in building it through exercises, right? Exercises like the double leg stretch and our swan and our single leg kick, exercises that really help us work with our center against and with gravity. But you'll also work with it in your different spine shapes. So we've talked about the 5 spine shapes before. You have flexion, extension, tall, side bend, and twisting. Your center is part of all of those. Every single one is the longest version of that you can do. If you look at how the roll-up works, we've talked about in videos and lives that we've done here on this channel, answering questions about why the roll-up is so hard, is that most people often roll past their center. So they actually are using their center and then they actually go too far into the roll up. So then their tailbone sticks out and they flatten their spine out. So then they've lost the connection to their center. Whereas if you actually stay in the center, when you do those pulses, you stay working with your center, you are not only going to open up your back and doing the roll up, but you're going to actually be building up the connections you need in that roll up for the next exercise. You'll also be learning, you want to use your breath to coordinate finding your center. A lot of times people are holding their breath. We've talked about how that doesn't help you work with your center. But if you actually exhale at certain points in an exercise, you'll find that it's easier to get to your center. For example, when you twist, exhaling is a great time to do that, because you're not only going to get your twist to be even deeper, but you're going to have that exhale to help you get more out of it. And then the inhale will help you unwind and find your center, build your center up to go into the next rep. Exhaling on the hardest part of an exercise is also a great way to connect into your center and move through an exercise. Inhales also help us sit really tall. They help us with our extension. So using your breath can actually help you have more length and connect to your center in different exercises. The important thing to note when it comes to the center, and as I mentioned with the two-way stretch, is that we want to work in opposition to ourselves all the time, whether we're extending, flexing, side bending, twisting, or being tall. Tall does not mean that we're flattening our back. It actually just means that our upper half and our lower half are working away from each other. And so as you are doing your practice, if you notice that you're side bending to one side and you're getting short but long on the other, there's no way to find or build your center in that way. So we want to really learn how to coordinate our breath and our movement and support over time, because to be honest, if you are forcing yourself to find your center or build your center in one practice, it's going to make it really difficult. It's not going to be fun for you. So you definitely want to make sure that you are giving yourself permission to explore and know that in some exercises it's going to be there, other exercises we're going to lose it, and that's what lets us know what other exercises in the system we actually have to use. Do you need to do leg springs or arm springs to help make those connections so your two-way stretch is longer? Do you need to work with the breathicizer to get to your breath to help you work with the coordination of your breath in your body? All these things are really helpful for us to note. So it's important to let you be a beginner in working with your center, because in seeing what you can't do with the connections you don't have yet, we can help you find that. So I want to talk about how your powerhouse, your center, shows up in movement with one amazing exercise, the double leg stretch. Jay Grimes said every single exercise in Pilates is the double leg stretch. It comes from this. And so if you can connect to your center in your double leg stretch, you are going to have a plethora of Pilates exercises at your disposal, because if you can come back to this connection and you find it in all the other exercises, you're good to go. But here are some common mistakes I see when people do the double leg stretch. And I want you to explore this exercise after this video. And if you're an OPC member, you can actually film yourself do the exercise and send it in. I will give you feedback on how well you're doing, because there are easy cheats that happen in the double leg stretch. So the double leg stretch, as we know, is part of the abdominal series of 5. It's the second one. You start in a rolling like a ball position on your back with your head and chest curled up and your hands are on your shins. Now here is the deal. Most people pull their shoulders in their ears. Already we're not at our center because our shoulders are here. If our shoulders are here, they can't be helping pull our lowest ribs away from our hips, right? So we definitely want to make sure that when we're pulling on our shins, we're doing it from our arm back connection. That's part of your up reach. That's part of your two-way stretch. Then when the heels are together and the toes are apart, the next thing that can happen is you take an inhale and you reach your arms and legs away. So here are several things that go wrong. The chest drops down, the back arches up, the legs go too low or too high. Okay, all of those things, I know I sound like Goldilocks, all of those things are actually going to take you out of your center, and it makes it very difficult to reconnect. Because sure, you could be out there hanging out in your hyperextension, lower back, arms hanging out, but I've got to then have you curl higher, pull your stomach down, squeeze your, it's too many things. Teachers do this all the time. It's way too many cues. So we got to curl back in. And so here's what you got to do. When you inhale and take your arms and your legs out simultaneously, you want to keep your hundreds curled, that chest up as your arms go back. If those arms are reaching from your lowest ribs, it's going to actually take weight out of your lower back, right? It's almost like you're reaching up to the ceiling. That's part of it. Then as those legs go away, we don't want them to just straighten the knees up to the ceiling. That's easy. That's your hip flexors. We don't need to do that, or your quads, really. We want those legs to push out at a high diagonal, almost like there's a low ceiling, but not so low that your tailbone dips down and your lower back arches. You've got to feel, how low can I go, right, to straighten my legs? Then that's our inhale, and we should feel so long. And if you're out there and you feel like a stretched piece of taffy and you're ready to come in, exhale. Here's what we can't do. If you exhale and drop your chest down, drop your heels down, fold your knees in, we've lost it. We worked so hard and we let it all go. We want to inhale, find that stretched taffy. Exhale, find our strength. As we circle our arms around, we'll find more lats. That's part of your center. And then when you pull the knees in, those heels have to come in at the same trajectory they went out. That's going to make your lower abs work harder, and you're set up for the next one. So here's the next part about building your center. It comes rep after rep, exercise by exercise. So it is completely possible to start your session, your practice, not connected to your center, and in fully connected to your center. And if that's what happens, congratulations, round of applause, you did it. It will be that you're kind of like connected, disconnected as a beginner, intermediate, until you can really build that stamina up and coordinate that breath with the exercise. But another way to know that you're not connected to your center is this. If the exercise feels easy, you're probably not doing it right. For more beginner-friendly Pilates exercises, check out this video we did with 5 exercises that are great for beginners getting into their Pilates practice. More signs that you're not using your center or your powerhouse are tension in the neck and shoulders. If you're feeling Pilates in your neck, you're not in your center for sure. Feeling things in the elbows or wrists, as I mentioned earlier, in the back of the knees. Hip clicks when you're circling your legs around, or feeling things in your lower back, or burning like your quads and hip flexors are overworking. These are all signs that you are not connected to your center, you're not moving from your center. Remember, Pilates is an organization of our body, right? We have to get everything kind of organized and working together. But more importantly, when you're doing Pilates, no muscle is ever underworked or overworked. Everything is working in balance. It does take time. not going to happen when you're new, but noticing these signs of overworking or burning, these are things you want to talk to your teacher about, or if you're an OBC member, film the exercise so I can see what's happening, so we can understand, one, is that exercise right for you in the first place? Two, what other exercises in your practice can support the connections that you're missing? Why are the shoulders and the ears? Just telling you to put your shoulders down is not going to help you connect to your center. We actually have to find the arm back connection. Why are your hips clicking? Because you're not actually moving your legs from your center. The legs are working from just the hip flexors, and we've lost the glutes and the hamstrings. So we actually have to do exercises that strengthen your glutes and hamstrings. So it's sometimes easier to figure out when you're not connected to your center, because it lets us know what exercises we need to do to build that connection, and then the connection to your center will come. What happens when you are connected to your center? Well, here's the great news. Everything feels more possible and harder at the same time. Like, that's just it. I'm working on I'm at 21 years of doing Pilates, and there are certain exercises that when I finally feel like, oh my God, I did not lose my center in that transition. Oh, now this exercise is so hard, but wait, it's more possible. It actually becomes fun. Transitions do become easier. In fact, the transitions are what help maintain your center. So your practice will advance as well, because you will need less breaks, because you will want to take that connection from one exercise to the next one. You'll want to be in flow. You will not feel the tension in your wrists, shoulders, or neck. You will not feel things happening in your lower back. You will feel like you can actually take on the next exercise. And then this is the most important thing. This is the thing that will blow your mind. You will also feel like you could not possibly do more than 3 good reps. When you are fully connected to your center, you do not want a 6th or 7th rep of something, because it's actually gets, with each rep of an exercise, it gets more and more connected. And you're like, oh my God, the next thing I need to do is something different so that I actually get a break from this version of my connection. And that's what's so beautiful. If you look at the classical order of Pilates, you go from lying down to sitting up to kneeling to standing. And so your body is doing this little dance with itself, working all the different planes. But after some extension, you get some flexion. After some side bend, you get some twisting. And so it's really a beautiful combination when you have that true connection, that you seek out the flow and you seek out the transitions. And then you also seek out less than 3 good reps, and you move on to the next thing. And a quick reminder for everyone, moving from your center is not a test. It's not a check that we can put in a box. It's not a light switch we can turn on and off. In fact, that's actually a lot of pressure to put on any one of us. Working and moving from our center is a part of our lifelong practice in Pilates. And that's the beautiful thing about Pilates. We get to do this for our whole lives as a functional movement practice. And so be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to be in practice. Notice when you're not in your center, and then what you're feeling, so that we can give you exercises that'll help you move from that. And then be kind to yourself when you find that advanced practice and then you notice your center has left the building, because we are different bodies every single day. And so certain moves are going to be easier at certain times of the day than others, and certain days over different ones. And so just having a lot of grace and curiosity, and that mind-body connection that Pilates is known for, is going to make moving from your center more possible every single day. Thanks so much for nerding out with me on this today. I hope it was fun. I hope this gave you some insight. If you're a teacher who does say find your center or connect to your center, I hope you don't feel bad. These are things we're taught as teachers. And if you're a client who's heard this and been like, I don't know what they're talking about, I hope you do now. And my other hope is that if you are needing support, if you're wondering if you're doing an exercise right, that you do seek us out. You do go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube. I do mean it. Any member that films themselves doing an exercise where they feel like they're not moving from their center, I will review it myself and give you the tips that you need and ask you questions to help you find it, because this practice is wonderful when you can go in person and work with people, but it's even better when you have more access to it, because the more you do Pilates, the better your life is going to get. And Pilates works better when it's done 3 or more times a week. So I really want you having access at home to moving from your center, to find your strength and get that mind-body connection. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, drop them below, and I'll see you next time.